Hello again, I'm Robert Fithen. Another Record Store Day is upon us, April 12th, and another Record Store Day list has just been released. So yeah, let's talk about it. Everybody else is making videos, this is mine, basically. And I'm definitely not going to talk about each and every release, but I am going to, it's a pretty extensive list that I'm going to be talking about here. Just some of the things I've been maybe sparked a little bit of interest from me. Some of the usual suspects, some of the stuff that's just kind of laughable. We'll discuss all of it. Now, like I said, I'm not discussing everything. If you want to hear about jazz releases, there are other channels for that. I'm assuming Bill Evans has got something in there, probably a Chet Baker or something. There's other channels for that. I don't get into a lot of 90s reissues on vinyl. That's not my thing. So, again, there's other channels for that. But there's also the usual suspects that keep popping up every Record Store Day. But let's just get to it. These are alphabetical, not in order of interest or importance or anything like that. So Tori Amos is first with Diving Deeper Live. This is basically an EP with 4 live tracks on it. You got the B-52s, Picture Disc. So if you're into picture discs, the B-52s album with, Planet Claire and Rock Lobster and all that is going to be released on a picture disc. I don't need it. I don't need picture discs. Black Sabbath, The Eternal Idol from 1987. This is the first time that Tony Martin was featured as a vocalist. I think he'd be on maybe 4 other albums or maybe 3 other albums. But this was the first, Eternal Idol from 87. Didn't get a lot of love when it was first out. Really hard to find on vinyl. So now that is being re-released, and I don't think it's color vinyl of any sort. You got the Blasters with a box set, a 5 LP box set. American Music Story, the complete studio recordings from 1979 to 1985. The Blasters are like kind of a hard rockabilly, kind of 80s rockabilly thing, like a harder version of the Stray Cats or something like that. They never really made it big. They didn't have any top 40 hits or anything like that that blew up, or top 10 hits or whatever. Maybe they had maybe a top 40 one that went to 38 or something, but they didn't have any big hits. Their self-titled album, you see a lot in record stores. They're not expensive. Their original vinyl, it's, you can usually find them for $5 or $10. But if you want to have brand new copies all in a nice box, and you like the Blasters, maybe that's for you. Blur, they're celebrating the 10th anniversary of the Magic Whip. And it's on Zoetrope, and no. That's a no from me. Fool me once, shame on me, that's my fault. Fool me twice, shame on... No, that's wrong. Fool me once, shame on you. You shouldn't have fooled me once. Fool me twice, it's my fault. And I'm not getting fooled twice. I remember last time around, I got this. This is the Park-like Zoetrope. And I was all ready to see the dogs running and the things flying around and the objects moving on the turntable. None of it worked. It all just revolved in a blur. Ha, I get it. Blur. Woohoo. It's a blur. And put that in the comments of my video, and everybody, oh, you got to have the phone app to see it. Okay, I'm not interested in looking at an album playing through a phone app. That is absurd. The early Zoetrope, that's the whole point of a Zoetrope, is it looks magical. It looks like they're on there, and the way that the vinyl is moving and the speed it's moving, it's all calculated, and you're supposed to see the pictures in motion. That's what a Zoetrope is supposed to be. You shouldn't need a phone app. If I'm going to look at a phone, I might as well watch a video. That's the most ridiculous thing I've heard since the term math rock. So no, I am not going to get fooled again from Blur's new one. Even though great album though, but I have no interest in these modern Zoetropes where you need a phone app. That's just fucking stupid. David Bowie, Ready, Set, Go. That's live at Riverside Studios in 03. I got the David Bowie last time around. It turned out it was the same mixes as the Ziggy Stardust, just in a different order with a couple of different tracks. I don't know. Riverside Studios in 2003, that's mostly something I would stream. I don't need a record of that. Camper Van Beethoven, though, this is interesting. This is a very hard album to find from 1985, the telephone-free Landslide Victory. This time it's going to be on clear and orange marbled vinyl, so it'll look cool. And it has the one about Lassie going to heaven on it. It's got like 18 songs on it. Lassie Goes to Heaven is one. Take the Skinheads Bowling. That's probably their biggest song. That is on there. Which I don't recommend you take all skinheads bowling. You want to find out what kind of affiliation the skinheads have before you take them bowling. You don't want to take certain skinheads to a place where a black object is going to be knocking down a bunch of white objects with little red necks. repeatedly. They're probably not going to be into that, but I might. So far, I got one here. The Camper Van Beethoven. That's hard to say really fast. Camper Van Beethoven. Later, of course, the guy went off and formed Cracker. Carcass. Necroticism, you know, that's I believe their third album from 1991. You know, you got the hardcore death metal. That's always hard to find on vinyl. This one is Translucent Green. So if you're into the rough stuff, Carcass, you know, one of the more popular ones. They were one of the major label ones that was on Earache. So you might want to check that out. Cop Shoot Cop, one of their early ones from 1990 called Consumer Revolt. I noticed that this is being re-released in the reissue cover art, not the original cover art from 1990. This is the reissue cover art from 1992. The Cure, The Head on the Door. This is one of those usual suspects I was talking about. There's the actual album, the way it's supposed to look, and you're going to get a picture disc if you get the Record Store Day release. So Head on the Door, one of my favorite, I think it is my favorite Cure album. I like the single mix of Close to Me more than the one that's on that album, but every other track on there, stellar. It's got In Between Days, it's got Screw, it's got A Night Like This. It's just excellent, excellent album. Love it. The Head on the Door from The Cure, my favorite Cure album, and unfortunately it's another year, another Cure picture disc. And I've heard at least 4 people, either this time or last time, say, I don't really like picture discs at all, but I got all the other Cure picture discs, so I'm going to get this one. You do you. Cypress Hill live at the Fillmore from 2000. So you don't see a lot of Cypress Hill live albums, or, you know, ever. So this is, I believe, probably the first time this has been done. Cypress Hill, huge in the 90s with Insane in the Brain. This was 2000, so this is when they're coming out with, whatever the album with Rock Superstar on it. And I think that track is actually on this too. So you want to be a rock superstar, live large with a rich heart, coming up in the world. Gotta look over your shoulder constantly. I think I left out a few lines. Dada, Puzzle. Interesting. Because I just listened to this because I'm doing the big, huge deep dive into 1992. So a little exclusive there about what's coming up on my channel. Deep dive into 1992 releases. I'm reviewing all kinds of them and ranking them and whatever. And Dada Puzzle is from 92. So I just heard this like a few weeks ago for the first time in decades. Kind of a little harder than your average jangle pop kind of thing going on. Look at those guys, man. Those are rocker. You know they're rock and rolling when they're looking like that. But this had the dim on it. Oh, before my life went dim. And Disneyland. I'm going to Disneyland. I don't know, skip school. I'm going to Disneyland. So I noticed that when I was looking this up that a lot of people on Discogs have been waiting for a vinyl release. And now you're going to get one on Record Store Day. And that's going to be a Strawberry with Black Swirl vinyl. Dead or Alive, again, another one of the usual suspects. It's another Record Store Day. You're getting another remix project from Dead or Alive. And this is the Youthquake remixes on purple vinyl. Deicide, more death metal here. Once Upon the Cross, the 20th anniversary of that. Here's the original CD, including Glenn Burton there, who is supposed to off himself on stage when he turned 32. Didn't happen. Still around in his 50s. Man, you can't trust people sometimes. Deicide, a little too much for me. I like extreme metal, I like death metal, I like some of the dark metal and whatever, thrash and whatever. Deicide, I think some of their lyrics go too far. So I can't really recommend Deicide. Dokken, Beast from the East, live green and orange vinyl is what that's on. That's from, I believe, 1985, double live album from Dokken. And if you get it and you're like, man, this cover art is all blurry and like doesn't look good, the original cover art is blurry and doesn't look good. So it probably is going to look like the original. It's basically a tattoo. And I never liked the cover art of that. Another Record Store Day, another album from The Doors. This one is Strange Days, a work in progress. And so this is on blue vinyl. And so these are demo versions of the song that you'll find on probably my favorite Doors album. I don't know. It's a three-way tie, really. But one of my favorite Doors albums, Strange Days. So I don't know, I'm kind of all Doors out at this point after getting the Rhino set and getting the last 2 live things from the Doors, including the one that came out last year or the year before where Jim Morrison just drops the microphone for 2 songs and keeps singing. The Dwarves, Sunshine, Lollipops, and Rainbows is a picture disc. And I'm not even sure I can show you the picture that would be on the picture disc. It's demo versions and early mixes of the songs that would be on this album. Blood, Guts, and Pussy. And so now it's Sunshine, Lollipops, and Rainbows. I think they probably could have kept the pussy in there instead of rainbows and made it Sunshine, Lollipop, and Pussy. I think there's definitely a lot of people that would have been interested in lollipops and pussy, because you take the lollipop and extra flavor. Anyway, there's the back cover. There's part of the front cover. So that'll be nice. Put a needle through that on a picture disc. So yeah, the Dwarves. Eden's Children, interested in this one. Eden's Children, self-titled on frosted green, kind of a psych thing from the 60s. This is the kind of stuff I wish they would do more of, but they're too interested in other stuff that I think no one cares about. I wish they would take the rare stuff that you never find anywhere, that's always like $50, $60 if you get it used. I wish they would re-release more stuff like that. You know, the one from last year that really was like, oh my God, I have to get that, was the Funkadelic, the Parliament, the debut. And, there isn't anything on this list where I'm like, oh, if I don't get this, I'll simply die. You know, there's nothing like that on here. But Eden's Children, I'm definitely going to try to pick up. And I went overboard last year. I made a video about, man, I got so much stuff here from Record Store Day. I think I went a little overboard. And thanks to Riverbend Records in Godfrey, I was able to do that. They had absolutely everything I wanted. So shout out, huge thanks to Riverbend Records in Godfrey, Illinois. This year, I hope to still get everything I want, but it's going to be a much smaller list. Fleetwood Mac, another year, another Fleetwood Mac release, and another picture disc this time. The picture disc for Fleetwood Mac, the self-titled album from 1975. It's the debut album as far as Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham are concerned, but, obviously Fleetwood Mac had been out longer than that. But Rumors was the picture disc last year, and I remember asking, like, who would want this? Rumors has been issued, like, 100 times at this point. Is somebody actually wanting this picture disc? Obviously they were, or they would not be releasing the self-titled Fleetwood Mac now on picture disc. You got Flotsam and Jetsam, High on blue vinyl. So that'll be cool for rock and rollers of the hard rock vein. I found out after all these years, Flotsam and Jetsam are not just words, they have meanings. Flotsam is what is found, one of them, I can't remember which one it is. One of them, either Flotsam or Jetsam, is what is found after a ship wrecks. It's like the wreckage of the ship. And the other thing is what is thrown off a ship as it's sinking to make it lighter. So that's what Flotsam and Jetsam is. Fun fact. Another Record Store Day, another thing from the Jerry Garcia Band. And this one is Don't Let Go at the Orpheum Theater, San Francisco, May 21st, 1976. It is a 4 LP set, as usually these things are. And also, another Record Store Day, another thing from the Grateful Dead. And so you get Grateful Dead at the Beacon Theater in New York in 1976. That is a 5 LP set. Also, if that's not enough Grateful Dead for you, you also get On the Back Porch, Volume 1. That is basically lighter versions of stuff. Dogfish Beer is sponsoring this. And it spans like 5 different years. So that's On the Back Porch from Grateful Dead. Goblin might be interested in this. Want to stream this first. But the Inferno, The Other Hell official soundtrack on Fuchsia vinyl. Goblin is hit or miss for me. You know, it's like, Tangerine Dream. Not sound-wise, but kind of hit or miss with the soundtracks. It just depends on what soundtrack it is. And this one is The Other Hell. Guttermouth, punk rock, gorgeous, with the nipple play on the cover there with the yellow smoke vinyl going on for that one. Punk rock on a record. You're not going to find this album, probably an original of it on vinyl. So you got to get the reissue if you don't want to break the bank. George Harrison and Beck teaming up for the Record Store Day Song of the Year. I'm not sure how that's chosen, who votes on that, but it's the Song of the Year. It's a 12-inch single for Be Here Now, which was a George Harrison song on his Living in the Material World album. And he's going to do it, and then Beck's going to do it on the other side. George Harrison, also, All Things Must Pass. Coming at you again, this time on Picture Disc Zoetrope. Again, I'm not doing Zoetrope if it involves a phone app. Call me old school, call me old fashioned, call me an old fool, but I like the ones where it spins and you're looking at it going, wow, that's really cool. Whoa, and you don't have to look at it through a damn phone. That is so completely there's no point to that. If you're going to look through a phone, just watch a video. I cannot, wow. Anyway, All Things Must Pass, they're using the original 1970 mix on this. So it's just like any of the Beatles remixes. When the remix for that came out, everybody starts talking about, oh my God, finally, because the original mix sounded like absolute garbage, and this is so much better. Oh my God, the original was unlistenable. So it seems, it'll be interesting to see how many people get this unlistenable original mix of this on a picture disc Zoetrope. So yeah, All Things Must Pass. Hindu Love Gods. This is what happens when Warren Zevon teams up with REM and does a Prince cover called Raspberry Beret. That was the single. The whole album is okay. It captures REM pretty much in their prime. I think this came out in like 86, 85, something like that. So they're still, an IRS band that's, just a few people are rocking out to. It's definitely before the whole Man in the Moon and Automatic for the People type thing. But yeah, Hindu Love Gods. Kind of difficult to find that on vinyl. I have had the CD since it was first out, so it's a nice listen. So nice to see that finally getting a Record Store Day release. Mahalia Jackson, Moving Up a Little Higher. These are early recordings from Miss Jackson. I am for real. They go from 1946 to 1957, so I'm not sure how great this is going to sound, but everybody can use a little more Mahalia Jackson in their collection. Skip James with the Blues. Might check this out as well. Hard Time Killing Floor. Yeah, that's on my maybe list, so I've got like 3 or 4. We're about a third of the way through, and I got 3 or 4 that I might be interested in. Jethro Tull, Songs from the Vault, 75 to 78. Just basically a little here and there kind of unreleased stuff from Jethro Tull that's finally getting a release of some sort. Usually things like this, I'm more interested in just kind of streaming, or maybe having it on a CD. I don't need a vinyl of previously unreleased Jethro Tull. Gloria Jones and Vixen. This is getting re-released for the first time since 1976. Gloria Jones is most known as the person who did the original version of Tainted Love. The Soft Cell had a huge hit with that, and keeps getting played all through the decades, but it was actually Gloria Jones that had the original of that. The album itself sounds a little bit, it's a little lighter, kind of jazzy or disco. Not really like raw funk or anything like that. Jazzy or kind of light disco from 1976. It's okay. Maybe I'll pick that one up. Maybe I won't. Word of caution, though. I was reading the blurb on the Record Store Day page. It is apparently on recycled vinyl. So I don't know if that's the same eco vinyl that they did on the Cure album recently that everybody's like hating because it sounds not good. But you might want to know about recycled vinyl before you go grabbing the Gloria Jones. Judas Priest, live in Atlanta, 82. This is when Judas Priest was blowing up huge with the Screaming for Vengeance album. You got Another Thing Coming, all that. So they're at their peak here. This is a 2 LP live set on red vinyl. You got John Lennon, Yoko Ono, the Plastic Ono Band with Power to the People, live at the 1-to-1 concert in New York City. New York City, 1972. This sounds interesting, and then you find out, oh, it's a 4-track EP. So, I don't know, maybe I'll stream that. I don't think I'm that interested in that. But maybe this one, though. Little Richard, Try Some of Mine, the Brunswick recordings. This is on transparent pink vinyl. I love me some Little Richard, and this is some later stuff from him back when... This was after the Smash stuff, I think, that he did, and like the mid-60s. This is a little bit later. And he gets a little back to being a little more funky. He kind of lost his way a little bit there, and I think he's finding his way back. And of course, since this is later stuff than his early, specialty stuff from the 50s, the recording, the sonic quality is a lot better. And yeah, I'm gonna check it out, and then I'm gonna decide whether I want to get that. But yeah, Little Richard, that looks really interesting. Nick Mason's Saucer Full of Secrets Band and Echoes Live. Again, sounds kind of interesting. The guy from Pink Floyd doing his thing here. It's a single. So yeah, one side, it plays from the inside out. So that's kind of interesting. Like the Jack White record, it plays from the inside out. Echoes Live. I wonder if it's just Echoes cut in half, and one on each side. The Meters, always a fun group. Live at Great American Music Hall, San Francisco. I forgot to look at what year this was, because that definitely makes the difference in how good this is going to be. If it's early Meters, I'm definitely checking this out. If it's like something from 16 years ago, maybe not so much. But here's what I thought was interesting. It's on Mardi Gras color vinyl. What is the color of Mardi Gras? I'm thinking piss on a wall. So piss on a brick wall. That's the color I'm expecting. Maybe like kind of a brick reddish color with like yellow like smudges and streaks on it. That would be Mardi Gras color to me, but maybe these people think that Mardi Gras is a different color, whoever pressed this. It doesn't say what color it is, it just says Mardi Gras color vinyl. Joni Mitchell live in 1976. That is Joni Mitchell live. And it happened in 1976. It is a 3 LP set. Love Joni Mitchell. Maybe I'll check that out. I don't know if I need a 3 LP live version. I mean, I just recently heard her, what's the one, the Miles of Isles live? I thought that was pretty good. So this would actually be a little earlier than that. Motley Crue, it's another record store day. It's another Motley Crue overblown like single or 12-inch single or whatever it is, picture disc. They do this all the time. And I think from what I'm hearing, people are getting less and less interested in these. This one is Smokin' in the Boys' Room with the Home Sweet Home remix on the other side. And I can't tell just by looking at the picture, and it doesn't say whether this is a 12-inch single or a 7-inch single. I know it's got a small hole in it, but that doesn't tell you anything. And it's interesting because looking at the photo of it, as you see here on the Record Store Day site, I don't think that's a real photo of it because it looks like it's got 5 songs. If you look at it looks like it's got 5 tracks on the first side. Doesn't look like it's just Smoking in the Boys' Room, unless there's 5 different versions of it. Because you can see 5 different songs on that if you look closely. But anyway, we'll find out. Motorhead, The Lost Tapes, Volume 6. Now, at least they're going back a little earlier on this one. I think they had a couple of those lost tapes were like from the late 2000s. It's like, was this lost or was this just nobody was interested? So this one is from 1992, so maybe it was actually lost. This is live in Berlin, and it is a 2 LP on purple vinyl. You got Alison Moyet with Home Time. So it's been a while since Alison Moyet, you never see her records in the US. She's more of a UK thing. She, of course, a part of Yaz, or as it's known in the UK, Yazoo. And so not really familiar with a lot of her solo stuff other than Alf. Nectar, Remember the Future. I'm very familiar with this, though. These guys, more of a classic rock kind of psychedelic rock. They're more in just like a AOR type of thing. So if you know somebody who's trying to get into classic rock or trying to get into psychedelic rock, but they don't want something way out, like too weird for me, man, maybe start them out with Nectar. That's a good starting point to kind of ease you into like more of the psychedelic stuff. This one is from all their stuff is from the 70s. And so Remember the Future. And so that might be interesting. You can still get that original record a lot of places. And here's a reason why this one's not interesting to me at all. It's the 50th anniversary, and it is a remix. No thanks. Neurotic Outsiders. If you don't know who the Neurotic Outsiders are, these guys, I think this is from like 96, maybe 97. This is Steve Jones from the Sex Pistols, teaming up with John Taylor from Duran Duran, teaming up with Matt Sorum from the Cult and Guns N' Roses, teaming up with from Guns N' Roses, Duff McKagan, all in one band. They had a song called Jerk that got played on the radio that was pretty cool. Really hard rocking stuff, but I mean, what do you expect? It's the guy from the Sex Pistols, two guys from Guns N' Roses, and a guy from Duran Duran. But it's pretty hard stuff, pretty fun stuff. Neurotic Outsiders. I don't know if that's ever been released on vinyl before. Pale Saints, a little bit of the shoegaze thing going on in there with Slow Building. It's just the 30th anniversary of that, and this is a deluxe edition. So you not only get the album, but also an entire LP of bonus stuff on this 2 LP set. Graham Parker and the Figs. When have you ever seen a Figs vinyl on a vinyl community video? Well, now you have Lo-Fi at Society High from 1994. Anyway, Graham Parker is with the Figs on this one. It's the Last Rock and Roll Tour, a 2 LP set. So Graham Parker usually with people like The Rumor or maybe The Shot. Now he's with the Figs. The Alan Parsons Project, looking over the Doors' shoulder going, works in progress. I think we'll come out with a work in progress. How about we do iRobot work in progress? So you get, I should have pulled the iRobot album out so I could show you that. But yeah, this is a work in progress. So you see what the iRobot album looks like. This is just like looking like a tape box. The Pixies go live with a live version of Bossa Nova and Trompe la Mode. And this is live from Europe in 2023. See, it was interesting And then the last part, oh, it's 2023. Here's the thing about live albums from 2023. Why I don't care about them. Because there's probably very, very high definition 4K video available of this concert. So why not just have that? Why do we need a record of a live concert from 2023? I'm not interested. Prince and the NPG live at Glam Slam. That's a 3 LP set on yellow vinyl. I think I've got plenty of Prince already. I don't need the NPG. I mean, if it was Prince and the Revolution live, I might, and there was no video available, and it was just an audio live I might consider that, but not the NPG. Public Image Limited, first issue, the US version with the US track listing, the US mix, and the US cover art. This is very hard to find in the US, ironically. So yeah, I never see this album. So if you're a fan of John Lydon and what he did after the Sex Pistols, you might want to pick up the first issue of Public Image Limited. Even if you are in England or the UK and you want to hear what the Americans heard it as, pick that up, because that is definitely hard to find. Rage Against the Machine live on tour, 1993. So they're at their peak on this. This is a 2 LP set. Includes all the big songs that were mostly on their debut. I think this also has Bulls on Parade on it, but mostly it's the stuff that was on the debut. The Rain Parade, this was the one from last year. The Rain Parade, kind of neon, neo psychedelic stuff from the 80s. Emergency Third Rail Power Trip was this album. And so this was, people really loved, I mean, I really liked that. And so they're going to do it again, this time with a 1985 album called Crashing Dream. And this is another deluxe issue like that with the album, and then another disc of outtakes and bonus tracks and everything. And this is on blue vinyl on a 2 LP set. The Ramones, there's always a Ramones album too. This one is Loco Live, a 2 LP set, red and blue vinyl on that one. So the Ramones don't have too much live stuff on an official vinyl release. I think this is only the third time this has happened. So this will be interesting, and this comes from a little bit later on in the Ramones' career from the 90s. So this one I thought was really interesting. What's interesting for this one is going to be who's going to get it? Who's interested? Who wants this? Because I'm thinking I almost want this. Lou Reed, Metal Machine Music. Different cover, as you can see from the original, but it's on metallic silver vinyl. And if you've not heard Metal Machine Music, I've heard it. I've heard it 3 times all the way through. It is a lot of noise. It is 4 sides, 15 minutes long each exactly, of noise. I think it's hilarious that there was actually a quadraphonic version of this release. Like you need, come on. But it is noise. And if it's the kind of thing where it's almost like listening to white noise, like static, where if you listen to it long enough, you start hearing things and you're not really sure if they're there or if it's just your brain playing tricks on you. There is little like tape fast forwarding and rewinding in the background. You know, you could barely hear that, but mostly it is noise. And it's the same noise. It's not like different noises, like we're doing like a Neil Young arc, feedback thing. This is just noise. And so that's getting a reissue. I rarely see the original, so I mean, if you want it, this is a way to get it. The Replacements, Tim, is getting re-released on a big 2 LP set. 1 LP, the original mix, 1 LP, a later mix. So you get 2 mixes of this on a 2 LP set. Of course, Tim is the Replacements album from 1985. Keith Richards and the Expensive Winos Tour. They are live on March of 2022. Which is interesting. I didn't even realize they were going that long. But yeah, again, a 2022 live album. I mean, just watch the video. This is on red vinyl, so you can watch the red vinyl go around if you want this. Rolling Stones, Out of Our Heads. The US version is getting a vinyl release. I believe it is just on black vinyl. It is the mono one, just like this one. Rolling Stones album like this in the United States are hard to find in excellent condition. They're usually all beat up. This one's pretty good, so I'm just going to keep my original of that. But if you are wanting a brand new copy of Out of Our Heads, this is the one with I Can't Get No Satisfaction and the West Coast Promo Man on it. Also has Play With Fire, Spider and the Fly, Hitchhike, their version of that. The Last Time is on here. Cry to Me is on here. So it's filled with great songs. Definitely. One of their big from 1965. Saxon, Wheels of Steel, the 40th anniversary edition is on a 2 LP set, red and blue vinyl. You get the album on one record as it was originally released, and then the second album full of bonus and live tracks from Saxon and Wheels of Steel. I mean, that's their peak. Gil Scott-Heron, Moving Target. Here's a super rare album from Gil Scott-Heron. I really like his early stuff from the early 70s. You know, Revolution Will Not Be Televised and Whitey's on the Moon and all that political commentary kind of stuff, the society, commentary. This Moving Target on red vinyl. Moving Target, not his best album. He kind of sounds vocally kind of tired on it. The music itself is very horn kind of funk that's not real raw funk or real deep funk. It's, you know, the kind of the horn stuff that was going on in the early 80s, a little bit polished sounding, and like I said, he sounds kind of tired. It's a really short album too. It's only like a little over a half hour long, only has 7 songs on it. Most of them are like 5 minutes long. I'm probably going to skip that one, even though I'm really a big fan of Gil Scott-Heron's early stuff. Season to Risk from the 90s, 1-800 Meltdown on neon green vinyl. I am not familiar with that album. I know some of their other ones. Whatever the one is with the cartoon woman with the dish full of, like, whatever that is, an octopus or whatever on the front of it. Season to Risk. Maybe I'll check that one out. Slint. Man, have they got a fan base. Found that out when I did my 1991 video series. A lot of people liking the Slint. A lot more than I did. Tweez is coming out on the Twatham mix, and that's green vinyl. This was the 2023 mix of their 1989 album. So you're not getting the original 1989 version. You are getting a remix with completely different mixes, completely different track listing order. And so just know that if you're going in for the Slint album. Sly and the Family Stone live at Winchester Cathedral, 1967. This one comes with a 24-page booklet. This is early Sly and the Family Stone, so I'm not sure. I'm going to have to hear it first. I like the Woodstock later, like 69 stuff more than the earlier stuff, but it might be pretty good. Here's the one that's freaking hilarious. This is just a laugh riot right here. Starship, We Built This City, 12-inch single picture disc. Again, I got to see the person that's like, I'm in line at 3 o'clock in the morning because I got to get that Starship, We Built This City 12-inch picture disc. It's got the club mix on it. Because when you're going out to the club, you got to get that We Built This City club mix. Anyway, Stone Temple Pilots got a live album on here from 1994. You know, so that's going to be I mean, there's going to be a lot of songs that people love that are missing because it's early for those guys. I mean, they only have 1 or 2 albums out, depending on when in 1994 this was done. But Live in New Haven, that's a 2 LP set on purple vinyl. So maybe it's after the purple album already came out. Sweet! Desolation Boulevard, the 50th anniversary album of this with completely redone artwork. I think I like that artwork. That's really that really pops. It's really bold. Live and demos. So this is not the original album and then bonus album of live and demos. The whole thing is live and demos. Just a 1 LP set there. I guess it's not a set if it's 1 LP. Oh my God, Jennifer Taylor Swift. You got the 7-inch for Fortnite from Taylor Swift, so you know people are going to be in line for that. This comes from her latest album. T-Rex Bolin B-Sides. For the Black Friday one, I got that T-Rex Tanks album. I had no idea it was a picture disc, and it shows up as a picture disc. I'm like, damn it. So I'm probably going to skip the Bolin B-Sides, but this is a 2 LP, one's red, one's blue, vinyl. Talking Heads, live on tour, 1979. We just did a Talking Heads live one on the last record store day. That one was so successful, they're doing another one. This is again from a radio show broadcast, just like the last one was. This is a 2 LP set. But the thing is, don't expect a lot of music because it's a 2 LP set that's the length of a 1 LP because it's 45 RPM. Yeah, because when you're doing an FM broadcast, concert, you got to have that 45 RPM on there for the top sound quality. 13th Floor Elevators. Now this could be interesting depending on the sound quality. Houston Music Theater, live 1967 on red and black marble vinyl. I would be interested to hear how that sounds first before I go on that one, because live stuff on Record Store Day, you never know if it's some bootleg, you know, or if it sounds great. I know that the best thing that for the Black Friday one that just happened was the Big Brother and the Holding Company live. That thing was so killer. I still play that. Absolutely excellent Record Store Day release. I love it. Absolutely love that. Carla Thomas, Sweetheart on the light blue vinyl. Carla Thomas was a member of the Stax label. And she had that B-A-B-Y, baby song. She also did some songs with her father, Rufus Thomas. She also did a whole album with Otis Redding. She also did stuff by herself, like this album that was originally supposed to come out in 1970, but it was never released, which is strange because in 1970, Stax was doing that thing where they were going bankrupt and trying to release absolutely everything they can, and so they just shelved this album for some reason. But a few of the tracks were released on singles. She does a cover of the Bee Gees' "To Love Somebody." It's okay. She does another couple on there that have shown up on compilations or whatever. But the CD of this was finally released in the mid-2000s, and so this is the first time it's actually been on vinyl. Thompson Twins, "Into the Gap Live," a 2 LP set on turquoise and yellow vinyl. So this is when the Thompson Twins were huge with the "Hold Me Now" song and the "Into the Gap" album. The thing about this one is it comes from a concert that was originally released in the 80s on VHS. So there is a visual element to this. Why not just re-release it on DVD or Blu-ray or a streaming service? Why do we need a record of a VHS? And who knows what the sound quality is going to sound like. So, but it's an official VHS, so it'll probably sound pretty good. But again, you're just missing the visual. Oh my God, Jesus. I wasn't even going to talk about this one. But judging from the fact that I put the Toad the Wet Sprocket at the very bottom of ranking 140 albums from 1991, and there were people that were very upset about that. They obviously have some fans out there. Toad the Wet Sprocket, "Welcome Home," live at the Arlington Theater in Santa Barbara, 1992. This was originally released on CD in 2004. Toad the Wet Sprocket, horrible. You know, that Fear album is absolutely abysmal, terrible. But if you're a fan of terrible music, you might want to check out what it sounds like in a live concert. "Welcome Home," live at the Arlington Theater. War, "Why Can't We Be Friends?" This is coming out in a deluxe version, which they don't have the cover art for yet. 30th Anniversary Collector's Edition. Or 50th, I was going to say 30th. 50th Anniversary Collector's Edition on a 3 LP set. No word of what the other LPs are. I'm assuming one of them is the album. No word on if it's a an original or a remix. So yeah, that'll be interesting. I know War keeps putting out stuff like box sets and unreleased stuff. I mean, there's a big thing in the last few years with War getting all these re-releases. Here's another one where it's like, who's going to get this? Not me. There's a hint. I know who's not getting it. Roger Waters' "Dark Side of the Moon" Redux live. Nobody wanted the Redux. I'm not sure who wants it live, but it's on pink vinyl if you are going to get that. I will say one thing about the Roger Waters. I've only heard a couple of songs off of it, like "Money." That's the one most people heard. At least he didn't try to make it sound like the original. At least he went in a completely different direction. There's no mistaking Roger Waters' "Money" Redux with the original one from Pink Floyd. I know that when they came out with a collection of great dance songs, the label that was on at the time didn't have the rights to the original "Money" song, and they wanted to have "Money" on there, and so they did a re-recording of it, and it's terrible. But they tried to make it sound like the original. At least Roger Waters is not trying to make the "Dark Side of the Moon" Redux sound like the original. So at least I'll at least say that. Willie Dixon self-titled album on orange vinyl. I'm going to definitely check that out. Love some Willie Dixon. Love the blues. I wish there was more blues, more funk, more psych, and less bootlegs and remixes and picture discs and things like that. But who am I? Wire with 9 7s. These are 7-inch singles that they have compiled together on a 2 LP set from the punk band Wire. I'm really only familiar with Pink Flag, so I'm going to check some of these out and see how good these are. I might get some of these. And that's going to wrap it up for the artists. There's a couple of various artist releases that I'm interested in, like 400% Dynamite, ska, soul, rocksteady, funk, and dub in Jamaica on orange vinyl. I got the 300% Dynamite compilation last year. Excellent, so I'm going to check out the 400% Dynamite. But one thing I noticed about the 300% Dynamite, there was no reason to wait in a line for it because it was still in stores like 5 months later. So I'm not going to rush right out and grab this because I think it'll be around. And then the other various artists one was, again, a continuation of one that I got last Record Store Day, and that is Westbound Sound Foundation's curated by Record Store Day, Volume 2. Volume 1 was great. It was just a single disc, kind of short, but it's Westbound Records, so you're getting, Funkadelic and early stuff from the Ohio Players probably. And that's what Volume 1 had, so I'm assuming we're getting, more of that. and it was curated by record store employees. No record store employees that I know were involved in curating it, but apparently some record store employees somewhere were doing that. And finally, some people would be interested in the fact that Wicked, the soundtrack, is getting some sort of Record Store Day release on a 2 LP set, because I know a lot of people are wanting that, and it's already hard to come by. Even though it was just released, it's very difficult to come by that. So a lot of people will probably be in line for Wicked soundtrack. So that's it. That's my Record Store Day list. I know I'm leaving a lot of stuff out. Let me know what you're interested in, what you're not interested in. Are you getting the Metal Machine music? Are you getting the Roger Waters thing? Are you getting some of these things? Are you getting the Starship 12-inch? We Built This City club mix? Let me know in the comments. And yeah, Record Store Day, love it. I'm not really excited about a lot of these releases this year as I was last year, but I'm still looking forward to all the fun, all the people coming out, seeing people I probably haven't seen since last Record Store Day, making just a big party out of it. That's what it's really all about for me. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Robert Fithen. Coming up in a couple of videos, I'm going to start my ranking and reviewing of albums, a really, really deep dive into the year 1992. Until then, thanks again for watching.